Hi, Mats&Axel here. Welcome to this video. My name is Mats Fischerström.
And I'm Axel Lindgren.
In this video we'll talk about 2024 and what trends we see in e-commerce for next year.
Here are today's topics. Lots of stuff to cover, so let's get started.
Sure. As we all know, since last year when ChatGPT was introduced, the discussion of AI has been a hot topic. And of course, this will also have an impact on e-commerce.
In e-commerce, AI can generate more accurate product descriptions. It can optimize your pricing and forecast demand.
According to Gartner, the use of AI has increased over 270% over the last 4 years. So where could you start? Well, one thing could be AI-powered chatbots.
How many of your incoming calls can AI help you with? Probably many, and your customer service can be open 24/7.
AI can also make online shopping a more personal and tailor-made experience. I think we're all tired of getting an ad for the same product that we just bought.
But with AI, retailers can market products that consumers actually want. But AI can't do it alone. We need to fuel it with personal data. And we think consumers will be willing to do so if it makes their shopping better.
Tons of stuff happening in AI. And by the same time next year, the impact of AI on online business will be much bigger than we now can anticipate.
Our next topic is how conscious consumers increase the demand for sustainable commerce and deliveries.
We really need to come up with some more snappy headlines. But sustainability is also a really hot topic right now. Everyone is talking about it. It's both about how we consumers shop and also about what delivery options we want. And sustainability is not only about the global climate, it's also about the working climate.
Sustainability in e-commerce today is not only about offering fossil-free deliveries, it's much more than that.
As customers today are more conscious when selecting delivery methods and delivery companies, the demand for sustainability has increased. Both when it comes to the climate impact and what kind of working climate that the drivers have.
In the Nordics, there is a third-party sustainability labeling called the Swan. The Swan label is used by over 20,000 products and services.
This Nordic Swan eco-labeling, it verifies that the logistics suppliers meet the high standards for climate impact, energy efficiency, and working conditions.
This is in the Nordics the most credible labeling of sustainability, and it's now available in the N-Shift checkout.
When choosing delivery, customers need to be able to quickly identify which delivery option is best from an environmental perspective. We need to be sure that we can trust the carrier's claims about sustainable deliveries.
If you can easily identify which carrier is sustainable and who is not, you can make the right choice in the checkout without worrying about greenwashing.
Customers might not always be willing to pay extra for a sustainable delivery, but an increased transparency in how retailers and delivery companies are working with these issues is a step in the right direction.
If you want to know more how you could implement sustainable delivery options in your checkout, reach out to your local N-Shift sales contact.
Moving on to the third trend we see for the next year. B2B e-commerce is on the rise. B2B e-commerce has actually been around for longer than B2C e-commerce. But B2B is sometimes seen as old-fashioned. Historically, it started out as more or less an online ordering form.
B2B has a tradition of being more of a face-to-face business. Strong relationships between buyer and seller. But B2B e-commerce companies are growing super fast and are now looking closely how B2C e-commerce companies are operating.
But the most interesting thing here is that this is all about people to people. A customer buying products online for a family is later the same day a purchasing manager in a B2B company, and she will of course expect to have the same kind of service and delivery options in the B2B world as she has in the B2C world.
Why would it be any different? You can buy groceries for your family and you can buy groceries for your company.
Customers expect to be able to choose payment and delivery methods the same way in B2B as they do in B2C. And it's not just that the B2B buyers want to have the same flexibility in delivery methods as they do in B2C. It's also the other way around. Traditional B2B delivery methods, like parcel delivery to offices is now becoming more and more popular also in a B2C context. Why is this, Axel?
Well, for many consumers, it could be really convenient having your parcel delivered to your office. As long as your office manager doesn't mind, why not? Moving on to the fourth trend.
And this is about the economy. There's definitely an economic headwind for the consumers. But the amount of headwind, it depends on which country you're living in. And depending on the state of the economy in your country, e-commerce will be affected differently.
We all know these are dark times. There's no denying, to quote Harry Potter.
But what can you do as a retailer to minimize the risk of losing customers, market share, and revenue? What we saw before the pandemic and during the pandemic was the possibility to borrow money at low interest rates. Acquiring capital was easy, and investors were standing in line to invest in e-commerce companies. But no one anticipated the supply chain crisis, the inflation, the war, and the global economic downturn that we now are seeing.
The cost of acquiring capital is high. Investors want a faster return on their investment and have a lower tolerance for loss-making companies. The last trend Mats and I see for 2024 is that re-commerce will increase. So why is this? Both retailers and consumers are expecting tough financial times right now.
Our increasingly thin wallets make us consumers shop less, and we try to focus on only those purchases that are absolutely necessary. And this will of course affect how much money I spend online.
Buying used items can be a lot cheaper, and re-commerce is growing really fast. And this trend will definitely increase during next year, both from a financial perspective but also from a sustainability perspective.
Merchants try to make customers come to their store to recycle their used items, instead of having old clothes lying in the closet unused. We see many merchants starting their own social communities, where they encourage their customers to recycle or resell their old items instead of throwing them in the trash. Climate change and the increased awareness of the younger generation makes it impossible for merchants not to focus on the environmental aspects of e-commerce.
As consumers have less money to spend, they will definitely look for used products, trying to save some money. For example, we've seen in the last couple of years an increase in companies selling refurbished iPhones, smartphones and tablets.
Products that we used to buy brand new are now perfectly fine to buy secondhand. An iPhone 12 that has been used 1 or 2 years by someone else, but refurbished with a brand new battery and a 12-month insurance plan sounds like a pretty good deal today, especially when sold at half price.
But doesn't that also have to do with the product and the rate of innovation? Isn't the reason that people think that the iPhone doesn't change a lot with each new model?
Definitely. It's not like when we moved from the iPhone 3 to iPhone 4. That was a huge thing. But if you look at electric cars, for instance, we see the opposite thing. The rate of innovation, especially when it comes to battery capacity and range, makes people think once or twice before buying a new electric car. It's probably better to lease an electric car, so that when the new improved models come, you can switch to them.
So, time to sum up what we've been talking about here today. Mats, do you have any final reflections?
I think AI is going to have a huge impact on how we shop and how products are presented to us in the future. It's going to be more accurate and more personalized. And if we're able to share relevant personal data, that's going to make the shopping experience even better. Through AI, merchants will know when it's time for me to buy new socks,
when it's time to stock up the fridge,
or buy a romantic getaway weekend for me and my wife. And they will know how I want to pay and how I want my different products delivered. What do you think?
The long-term effects of the economy will decide how I shop. Do I need to buy new clothes for my kids, or do I buy them second-hand? Do we need a new TV, or is the one we have working fine? As long as the economy is bad, I will look for stores that give the most value for the money.
I also believe that different countries will emerge from the recession in different ways. The same way that some merchants will succeed better than others. Those merchants who are profitable today will probably have an easier time than those who are already struggling with their own profitability. The question will be how much you can cut down on costs without losing revenue, and how you can make your customers return to your store instead of going to your competitors.
We hope you got some insights on which trends we see next year. If you want to know more what Mats and I do at Nshift, scan this QR code. Here you will find tons of interviews, our popular video channel, and lots of other interesting e-commerce topics. Enjoy!
We're also, of course, on LinkedIn, where you are more than welcome to connect with us. Until next time, we're Mats and Axel.